Hi, everyone, and congratulations on completing your Y Data program. My name is Amit Alon. I'm a senior data scientist in K-Health, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my process of getting my first data science job. So a little bit about myself. I have a BSc in computer science and physics, and then I did an MSc and PhD in computational biology, spending around 6 or 7 years developing different machine learning algorithms to solve some computational biological problems under completely non-computational advisors. I developed unsupervised clustering algorithms to find protein distribution from microscopy images. And then in my PhD, I used genetic variation signals to find evidence of new protein translating genes using supervised classification algorithm that I developed, which was, it was kind of complicated because it didn't really have a good training set, so I needed to create one via simulation. So it kind of combined a lot of things. Then in my last stage of my PhD, I joined the Y Data program. It was the first year in Israel. I graduated with distinction, and during the program, I did an industry project in a company called Neurosteer, where we classified brainwave signals to one of 5 sleep stages. My job process, I started mid-second semester. So I didn't have the full background of the complete program, but I felt that I had enough to start applying for jobs. And I didn't have any connection in the data science world, so most of my applications were via LinkedIn. I had several friends that were working in startups or founding startups, and they were looking for their first data scientist, and that didn't fit for me because I wanted to enter a team. I wanted to learn as much as I can. I didn't feel that I was experienced at all, and being in the academy for so long, I didn't feel that I have any experience in the high-tech world to be the first data scientist. So I didn't even apply for these. The domains that I applied for were so broad. I didn't focus on a single domain. It wasn't, I didn't tell myself that I want to go to a computer vision company or NLP or whatever. I went all over the place, just reading, trying to understand as much as I can about the company and what they do. And I'm going to talk about how I gathered the information further. Mostly apply to startups, not very early stages, not like 5 people, but around 50, 60 people. I didn't apply for any of the big tech companies, the Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, or Microsoft. I didn't feel that that was a right fit for me. I wanted to be in a more research-oriented, less client and product-driven environment. But you know, that was the feeling that I got. Now I know that it's not always the case. In terms of preparation, so when you are applying for a job, you need to understand the domain of the company. You need to understand what they are doing and see how you fit in, how your experience fit in there. Why do you fit? Why is it a good fit? What can you give to the company? Why it interests you? How can you learn from the people working there? And not just, apply anywhere, not giving a second thought to what it can give you and what you can do there. You need to learn appropriate theory. So if you're going for a company that deals with NLP, get to know embedding. So, read some of the material or the notebooks that you worked on and brush up on your technical skills. Adjust your 5-minute speech. So a 5-minute speech is something very important that each of you should have. It's like your pitch, your elevator pitch, if you meet someone and you need to convince them that they want to keep talking to you or interview you or keep the interaction going, you need to have a 5-minute pitch where you explain what you did, what you know, what makes you better than others, and really perfect it. And then whenever you go to a different domain of companies, you need to adjust it slightly. So if I were to go to an NLP company and I have this signal processing algorithm that I developed, I would try to adjust my speech to fit more of the NLP kind of terms, how I translate the signals to something that resembles letters or words, and how I embedded it to a different space, and et cetera, et cetera. You need to also think about what you expect from a job, both professionally and personally. So when you apply for a job, you will be asked what would you want to happen in 1 year, 2 years, 6 years? Where do you see yourself? And it's important that you really take the time to think about where you want to go. Do you want to only get the first year learning all the tech and all the skills and brushing up and just getting the experience? Do you want to move on to be a team lead very fast? So focusing more on soft skills, and this applies maybe more for people who have a lot of time in the industry and they want to get to know the field and the tech terms, but they actually want to be the team leads eventually and not stay part of the working force or the team. And you need to think about how you want to balance your work and life workload. So today, maybe it's a little bit different. You know, a lot of companies will start working more from home, but when I applied for jobs, I needed to think a lot about how I ask for 2 days going early and an office that accepts this, that I have a family and that I have a kid that needs me at home, and vacations and sick days and whatnot. So you need to come with these demands and be confident enough to ask what you really expect to get. Interviewing is an art. I can't say that I perfected it, but I've learned from my experience and I have developed in the process. So you would usually have 2 types of interviews. You would have the phone interview, but not always. Not all companies have the phone interview. And then you have an in-person interview, which could be a lot of in-person interviews. The phone interview would either be with a recruiter or already with the team lead or the tech person that will interview you eventually. And in the phone interview, this is where you need to have your 5-minute pitch perfect. So the other person needs to understand from those 5 minutes from your description how you fit in, and is it a really good match? Just based on the dry CV, you can't always know that. So talking to a person for 5 minutes, 10 minutes can give an idea if it's a good match and if it's worth the time. For example, when I interviewed for an NLP job, the interviewer felt that I didn't have enough experience. So he said, okay, maybe I can send you 1 or 2 research papers and then we can talk about them to see if you can actually get to know the requirements that we need on your own in a fast pace and whatnot. You can also try and use this time to get as much information as you need into the company. So you need to ask questions as well to understand what you need to learn, what's the tech that they use. Is it classical machine learning? Is it deep learning? Is it, what's the data like? Is it structured? Is it unstructured? Try to fish a little bit about what they expect you to bring, and then you will be more prepared for the in-person interview. And the in-person interviews, that's, every company is on its own. So you will meet a different number of people and a different number of levels and orders. So I had a company where I first met the team lead, and then I met the VP, and then I met the HR. I had a company where the first interview was with the CEO. Each company is on its own. And also on the phone interview, try to get as much information as you need about the order of these interviews, so you will know how to prepare yourself. You need to get your text straight. You need to brush up on your coding skills. Do you need to just figure out what you want from the job and what you can bring? So this is each company on its own. Brush up on your coding skills. You will have, in 90% of the cases, you will have some sort of coding question, either like a riddle or write pseudocode or whatever. Learn to present your project. This is a big thing. Each of you did some machine learning project. This is the main focus of the interview. You need to know how to present your project well, how to emphasize what you've learned and what you know and what this project gave you in terms of hands-on experience. And you need to also prepare questions on your own, of your own. So you need to understand what you want to ask, what you want to know, how the team is divided, what's the workflow, how do you work with domain experts, how do you work with other parts of the company? Is it a data-driven company? So is the data the center, or is the data a consumer? These are all things that you need to ask and see what interests you in the process. Let's talk about the project, which is really the main thing that you need to focus on. And the interviewer for, this is everything I'm talking about is for a data science job. Data engineering is slightly different because it more focuses on the technical skills. Data science is a research job, and you need to show that you know how to do research, how to ask the good questions, and how to get to good conclusions. And the interviewer will want to know that. So don't focus too much on the buzzwords. Don't say, I used embedding the word to vec, and then I saw that it didn't work, so I used the glove changing dimensions embedding, and then I used BERT, and then I used it. No one cares. I mean, the recruiter would want to know that you know a lot of buzzwords. The interviewer doesn't care. Just get it out of your system in the phone interview so they know that what you're talking about, and start working on how you present your project to the fullest. And the way to best present the project is to show it as an iterative process that always starts with the data. You start with your data cohort, you understand your data, you need to emphasize that you understood your data, that you knew what to do with it, how to search for insights in the data, how to clean your data, what the data holds, if you have features that you need to drop, features that you need to add, how you built your input. Is it structured? Is it unstructured? What made you decide on how to build your input? How did you choose your features? How did you choose your labels? Is it multi-label? Is it single label? Are the classes imbalanced? How does that affect? And then you need to describe the type of model. So this is an iterative process, and the first iteration would be a simple model, just logistic regression or a tree or something very, very simple. The fourth and most important part is the testing performance, which is the metric. And this is always the weakest link in a process, because deciding on a good metric is very, very hard. So this is a point worth dwelling on, and showing how you decided on a good metric and why it fit and why other metrics didn't fit, and all those things. And then you show how you went, you got your performance, you tested it, you have a baseline. Now you go back to the start. You again go to the data, see if the data is okay. Maybe the assumptions that you laid weren't true and you need to make new assumptions, and show how you developed in this process. You also need to talk about where you failed and what you've learned from your failures, where you had to go back, where you decided that the model really doesn't fit and you need to start all over again. And you have to be very, very patient, because the interviewer will want to ask a lot of questions and see how you deal with them and see if you actually thought about everything. And maybe he will ask you something that you didn't even think about and doesn't seem to fit what you understand. So just embrace it and if you feel that the interviewer is asking you something that is completely unrelated, try to explain your point once again and not go head to head with the interviewer, because that wouldn't do good to anyone. About the work itself. So in our company, there are two sides to the job. We have the research side, which is personal interests and POCs and small projects, short time scopes, and just getting it out, trying quick and dirty approaches. We have production side, which is taking, we are the data-driven company. We have a data-driven product. And in production, we need to improve this product. We need to monitor the product, the users, how they use it, what are they actually asking, and stuff like that. And refactoring, if we want to completely change the model, if we feel that we need to change the approach, change the output. These are big projects. These are big teams. And these are, I can call it cross-platform teams. So it's not only the data scientists working on productions. We have the domain experts, which are doctors. We have the product people, the studio people, the content people. We have engineers. We have marketing people. So everybody needs to work together, and this is a fine art that you need to perfect. When I first started about a year and a few months ago, I needed to get to know the domain, understand how the company works, how people communicate, how you get data from and across different teams, understanding how the processes work, how you deliver and how you receive, and integrate myself into the workflow. It takes a few months, even getting to know the tech and the way that you write code within the team. And today I'm a data product owner, which means that I am in charge of the complete data product, which is building the cohort, working on the data, cleaning the data, getting the data from the server. So it's writing SQLs and building tables and building the structured data. I'm in charge of developing the model, improving the model, new algorithms, research, whatnot. I'm in charge of putting the code in production. So we are writing production code. I'm in charge of getting product requirements from PMs. I'm in charge of getting engineering requirements and giving engineering requirements if we need something to change within the product because of the data. I need to know how to inject domain knowledge and how to communicate with domain experts, which is not always very straightforward because we need to understand these are people that are not tech-wise. So you've got to know how to present the problems or the requirements or whatever you need. I'm also in charge of monitoring, trying to figure out what questions I want to ask about the users, how they use the app, what I need to change. Maybe the focus is not right. Maybe we made it too broad. Maybe we made it too narrow. And in terms of personal growth, in the past 6 months, maybe 8 months, I've started my own vision board in terms of POCs or stuff I want to check out on the data, and my team lead was kind enough to give me my own space in trying to kind of fulfill them and see if we can build projects from them. So if this is something that interests you and you want to research in that direction, you got to push it. No one's going to hand it to you. You got to ask to do that. Owning a project is a big deal. So you got to know how everything works. You got to know how a product works. You got to know how backend engineers work. You got to know how front-end engineers work. You got to know your server, your client. You need to know the marketing plan. You need to know your user audience. You need to know a lot of things. And it's really, really fun. It gives you great context, and it gives you the complete responsibility for the success or the downfall of a data-driven product. And if you want to go there, you have to ask your team lead for the right context. You need to ask the right questions, and you need to show interest in the different parts of the product. This is how you get there. This is how you get the full context. That's it. Thank you very much. Good luck. And again, congratulations on completing the Y Data program. We need the good data scientists that you are. So keep up the good work and apply, and we'll see you in the future.